Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty special, I think. It's the 2026 Maserati Grecale Folgore. And, this car, it's not just about Italian luxury, right? It feels like it's really making a statement about engineering, the Maserati way. The big story, looking at our sources, isn't just raw power. It's about cleverness. Maserati seems to have pulled off, well, a bit of a technical magic trick to boost the efficiency and range of this EV SUV. So our mission today, let's unpack how they did it. How do they manage to squeeze an extra 50 miles of range out of this thing without, a bigger battery or totally new motors? How did they do it the smart way?
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach, actually, and one that, has an immediate upside for anyone buying it. Our sources, they cover everything from the engineering nitty-gritty to market strategy papers, and they really zero in on this one achievement. Honestly, Maserati kind of needed a big win here to stay relevant in that incredibly tough luxury EV market. I mean, when a manufacturer says, hey, we added 50 miles, that's nearly 80 kilometers just through optimizing mechanics and software, you really have to dig into that. It points to a deliberate choice, right? Focus on making the components more efficient rather than just jamming in more battery. We need to figure out why they went that route.
Okay, let's lay down the baseline numbers first, just so we can really appreciate what they gained. The original Grecale Folgore, the one from 2023, it was powerful, no question. 550 horsepower, 105 kilowatt of battery. It offered, well, a decent 500 kilometers WLTP range.
Yeah.
About 311 miles. Respectable, but maybe not class leading.
But now, for the 2026 model, that range jumps to 580 kilometers. That's 360 miles. An extra 50 miles, zero emissions. That 50-mile buffer, it's actually pretty huge, isn't it? If you're treating this car like a proper Grand Tourer, that extra range fundamentally changes things. Fewer charging stops, less anxiety. It feels like a massive win.
Oh, it's definitely a crucial win because looking at the competitive landscape, Maserati didn't really have another option. They had to find this improvement. If you connect this update to the bigger market picture, the sources suggest the Grecale line overall has seen maybe slower sales than they hoped for, particularly in some important regions. So this update, this technical fix, it's their answer to that market pressure. They're aiming the Grecale Folgore squarely at the benchmark, really, the Porsche Macan. To even be in the same conversation as the Macan EV, they absolutely had to close that range gap. So yeah, maybe less about pure customer delight initially and more about, frankly, strategic survival in this high-stakes EV game.
Right, so market reality kind of forced their hand into some clever engineering. And this is where it gets really cool. The core innovation, they call it AWD-Disconnect. Sounds simple, but the execution seems quite sophisticated.
It really is the definition of that clever trick. Essentially, when the car figures out you don't need all-wheel drive, like, say, you're just cruising on a dry highway, nice and smooth, the system isolates the front drive components, all the power just goes to the rear wheels. The idea, obviously, is to stop those front bits from spinning for no reason, which wastes energy. But what makes Maserati's system apparently more effective is how much they isolate things. They're not just, electronically telling the front motor to take a break. They physically uncouple the front axle shafts right at the hubs.
Okay, so that physical disconnection is the key difference.
Absolutely. Think of it like on a bike, right? If you stop pedaling, the chain and gears still spin a bit, creating drag. Maserati is basically taking the chain off the front wheel entirely. It allows it to just freewheel completely. That true isolation is what maximizes the energy saving and lets them claim that extra 50 miles compared to maybe simpler disconnect systems.
Okay, that sounds brilliant for saving juice. But it also sounds complicated, mechanically speaking. And performance SUV, you expect instant traction, instant power. If it's disconnected, it has to reconnect instantly if you need grip.
Right.
Otherwise, that could be a safety issue.
That's always the engineering trade-off, isn't it? More complexity. But the sources are pretty clear that this is managed by some seriously advanced software. The switch between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, it happens automatically in just 500 milliseconds, half a second.
Wow.
Half a second. But keeping track of everything to make that decision in half a second, does that introduce, a potential failure point down the road compared to a system that's just always on? It's a fair question from a buyer's perspective, but the engineering data we've seen suggests the complexity is managed through, predictive analysis, not just reacting. It's run by complex algorithms constantly crunching data from a whole network of sensors. We're talking torque demand, brake temperature, the slope of the road, speed, acceleration, your selected drive mode, even the outside temperature. And crucially, it talks to the safety systems, ABS, ESC, ASR, traction control stuff. It's basically playing super high-speed chess with the road conditions. It has to anticipate when you might need that front grip, almost before you do. So the idea is efficiency without ever compromising safety.
And even with all this focus on efficiency, it still feels like a proper Maserati in terms of performance.
Oh yeah, definitely. The acceleration is still sharp. 0 to 100 kilometers, that's 0 to 62 millimeters, in 4.1 seconds. That makes it the second quickest Grecale, just behind the V6 Trofeo, which does it in 3.8. So still very quick. Top speed is capped at 220 kilometers or 137 mile of error. It's still a performance machine, absolutely, just a smarter one.
Okay, so beyond the clever mechanics, they've also polished the tech side of things, the software experience. I really like seeing smart features that just make living with an EV easier. They kept things buyers expect now, like controlling the climate remotely from your phone. And, really important, automatic battery preconditioning. So if you pop an ultra-fast charger into the navigation using the EV routing, the car gets the battery ready on the way there.
Yeah, that preconditioning is vital. Minimizing time stuck at a charger is key for a premium EV. Getting the battery to the optimal temperature before you plug in means you actually get those faster charging speeds. It reduces that dwell time significantly.
And there's a new feature too, which sounds really helpful for range anxiety. Dynamic range mapping. It gives you this visual on the map, constantly updated, showing exactly how far you can actually go based on your battery level and how you're driving, the road, the temperature. No more guessing games.
Yeah.
That's a huge plus.
Takes the stress out of it a bit.
Exactly. But look, this is Maserati we're talking about. We have to talk about the style, the elegance, the sheer Italian flair. This is where they really stand out. And I absolutely adore how they've doubled down on customization. The 2026 update massively expands the options through their Furisserie program.
And that expansion, it's not just for show, it's a strategic move too.
I get that, but just look at the options. You can now pick from 32 exterior colors, 6 are totally new, plus the 11 standard ones. Inside, 8 color choices, 8 different seat designs, including some gorgeous new standard ones like that premium Pelleghiaccio, the ice leather, or the sport leather in black with red or yellow accents. Stunning. Plus, 4 brake caliper finishes, specific wheel designs, one just for the Folgore. It lets you make the car truly yours. Proper Italian luxury tailoring.
Okay, so let's tie that back to the strategy. Maserati is clearly betting big on that bespoke luxury, that Furisserie personalization being their ace card. Are they basically saying, okay, you get this amazing tailored style plus that extra 50 miles of range, and maybe that's enough to overlook a key technical area where we aren't leading? Are they betting that style trumps charging speed?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Especially when you put it head-to-head with the Macan, which our source data compares quite nicely.
Right. The data shows they've definitely closed the gap where it mattered most for usability of the range. But the trade-offs become really clear. Let's look at the numbers from that comparison table. Folgore's 580-kilometer range. It's now right there with the Macan 4 at 591 kilometers and the Macan Turbo at 613 kilometers. So mission accomplished on the AWD-Disconnect front. Range anxiety addressed. Power-wise, the Folgore is strong at 410 kilowatters, but the Macan Turbo still packs more punch at 470 kilowatters. But here's where Maserati plays it smart. Pricing. The Folgore comes in around €109,300 kilometer. That's significantly more, at 118,910 Pudenteb. So Maserati is offering a lot of luxury and performance for the money.
The elephant in the room is the charging tech. The Macan has that 800-volt system, which Maserati doesn't have yet.
Exactly. That's the critical difference. Porsche's 800V setup allows much faster charging up to 270 kilowatters. The Grecale Folgore is still on a 400-volt architecture. That means it's charging peaks at a more modest 150 kilowatters. That, strategically, is its Achilles heel right now.
Yeah, I agree. For the person actually using the car day to day, that's where the trade-off really bites. Am I willing to wait, say, 45 minutes at a 150 kilowatt charger versus maybe 20 minutes for the Macan's 270 kilowatts? Does that extra 50 miles of total range outweigh the practical inconvenience of slower, fast charging stops on a long trip?
And that's the strategic gamble Maserati has made. They opted for the 50-mile range boost now, which was likely a faster, cheaper engineering fix using the existing platform instead of waiting for a full platform overhaul to get 800V charging later. It tells us their immediate priority was tackling range anxiety and showing off some clever mechanical engineering. They're hoping that the Italian style, the personalization, and the slightly lower price will make people forgive the slower charging speed for now. So pulling it all together, what does this mean? Well, the 2026 Grecale Folgore shows Maserati is serious about making EVs desirable through efficiency and smart engineering. They cleverly addressed a major weakness, the range, with that AWD-Disconnect system. It's powerful, it's refined, but you're consciously choosing bespoke style and solid range over bleeding-edge charging speed.
It really does capture the imagination, though. It offers a genuine choice in the luxury EV space. For me, this car perfectly blends that technical brilliance with just unparalleled elegance. Proving high performance and high efficiency can absolutely go hand in hand. I find that combination really compelling. And maybe here's a final thought to chew on. This whole update kind of suggests that for some established luxury brands, getting smarter with the hardware they already have, like this innovative AWD system, might be just as effective, at least in the short term, as making that huge multi-billion-dollar leap to 800-volt systems right away. Could clever mechanical fixes be the smart bridge technology? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on the 2026 Maserati Grecale Folgore. If you enjoyed unpacking the tech and the strategy behind it, definitely follow the channel for more explorations like this. We'll see you next time.